So the time has reached 8 o'clock. Call Transportation Committee to order. Everyone except Alder Bloomfield is again not here. We have the consent agenda, approval of minutes, September 5th, 2023 regular meeting, and recommend, I can do those together, right?
You can.
Recommend approval of bills and transfers. Bills totaling $4,722,786.67. A motion. Motion by member Abel, second by member Abraham. Is any questions? I have one question. The bills, what is the $9,950 to Board of Trustees, University of Illinois?
So that is for a environmental fee, so for a project that we're doing next year, on Lexington Leroy Road. We had, let's see what, it wasn't the mussels, it was tadpoles that were, that we had to do a mitigation plan for. As part of the EPA, to get approval for the EPA, and so, as part of the fees of that mitigation plan is $10,000. It's going to the University of Illinois to do research on, I don't know where it's going, but it's going to their research department at the U of I.
And that's a requirement.
It is. A couple years ago, we had one on the Stringtown Road Bridge for mussels, and that one went straight to the DNR. So they're trying to change where it's going because it was just going to the DNR for no apparent reason. At least maybe if it's going to U of I, it might be going for some type of research project. So it's a mandatory fee.
All right.
That not every project has it, but if we run across some endangered species, then we end up having to do. The consultant we hire has to do a mitigation plan, or go in there and they have to do studies, or go in there and see if there are actually mussels there, and so. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? No? All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, passed. Do we have any appearances by members of the public or county employees?
We had no requests for this meeting.
All right. Number 4A, items to present for action. 4A1, request approval of matching tax resolution for Colfax Road, section 21-00152-02-RS. Do I have a motion? Motion by member Abraham, second by member Abel. Jerry, would you want to present that?
Sure. So this is our federal project that we're doing in 2024. It goes from Route 9 to 165, and so with the federal project, we use rural transportation funds from. We work with IDOT on this, and so we're using SCR funds, which is going to amount to about 1.8 million, and then we also applied for TARP funds, which is Truck Access Route Program funds. And we got around 500,000 for those funds. And so this matching tax resolution is the county's portion to basically take care of the remaining costs of the project. The total cost of the project we're looking at is about around 3.2 million. And so we're it's a resurfacing project with safety shoulders as well going that route. There's a lot of students go from Aerosmith and Saybrook to use that route to go to schools, and thought this would be a good spot to put safety shoulders.
Does anybody have any questions? Member Abraham?
So you said the entire project is going to cost about 3.2 million. We're putting 850,000 of that of county money into that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. On the federal funds, there's an 80-20. It's 80% federal, and then we have to match those funds 20%, and then and so we can use the TARP funds to take care of the 20% match. But since the project is kind of over that with the additional safety shoulders, we need this additional 850,000.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else? Alright, all those in favor say aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Request is approved. 4A2, request approval of engineering services agreement with Hampton, Lindsay, and Renwick, Inc. for section 23-18135-00-BR, MacDav Bridge, Ridley Road District. Do I have a motion? Motion by member Abraham, second by member Abel. Jerry, you want to present that one?
So this is kind of, actually I got some pictures of this bridge. It's actually kind of a cool bridge, but it's also in not really good shape. So it's a railroad car bridge. And so this is it's like a flatbed railroad car, and it's also then got a wood deck on it. And so these pictures are a little bit older, and so there's a lot of maintenance to this wood deck, and so it's got a few other problems as well. And so we did last year we did so it's got a cracked stringer on the railroad car itself, and then we got some other cracking going on in the railroad car. So we were looking at just doing a repair at one time, kind of just putting a new deck, a wood deck on that, but it's kind of just putting a Band-Aid on it. We've I didn't take a picture of that. There's also there's a scour problem, which I don't have a picture of, but so we kind of looked at it, and by the time we did took the deck off, or actually what we were doing was looking at a concrete deck, and that wasn't necessarily going to work out too good because we were going to have to do a lot of work to get the abutments correct, and it was just going to be a lot of work. So we decided to go ahead and just do a whole full replacement on it. With the IDOT's budget, they upped the township bridge program. They basically quadrupled it. We used to get about $320,000 a year, where that applied for like one township bridge, maybe. A lot of the bridges were kind of getting more pricey, so maybe 2 years worth of money. Well, they quadrupled it, so now we're getting $1.2 million a year for the township bridge program. And so I thought that instead of putting a deck that's not really going to fix all the problems, we decided we'd go with a full replacement on this. So, and then on the TBP funds, those are usually 80-20, so 80% TBP funds, and then 10% township, and then 10% county. So this is an engineer agreement for $56,000 to get the plans and all the environmental cleared, and then we'll get a cost estimate and then put it out for bid. Hopefully in 2025 is what we're looking at.
Any questions? Member Sullivan?
Do you have any idea how old that bridge is?
Yes, it was. No, I actually.
That's
I
right.
don't have it.
I guess my question is it? To me, it's something unique. Is there a lot of those around in the townships? Or?
No, it's the only one I think that we have in the county.
Okay,
But
and it looked like that was a gravel road.
yes.
Is it not necessarily a high?
No,
High-traveled
it's
road.
not a high traveled road. The township did get all the right of way purchased to widen out the road if he wants to in the future when the Blooming Grove Wind Farm came in. So that might be a possibility that he does do something to it in the future.
Anyone else? No? All those in favor vote aye. Those same sign. Request is approved. 4A3, request approval of the Class 2 truck route and weight limit resolution for the Danvers Newton Road, Section 20-00038-06RS. Do I have a motion? Motion by member Abraham, second by member Reeves. Gary?
Yeah, so this is a project we're actually constructing now. It's almost finished, and got to looking and I hadn't done a class 2 truck route resolution for this back when we kind of got everything going for the project. So this is just kind of tidying up some paperwork to that we can send into IDOT, and then they'll put it on their truck map, so for permitting and that type of thing. And so or at least let the people that are needing permits know that it's an 80,000 pound route year round. And so that's all, basically all this, it's kind of just clean up some paperwork and we can send into IDOT.
Anybody have any questions? Nope. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, and the request is approved. 4B1, project summaries.
Sure. So this first one is a Horse Farm Road, and so it's all. I got like 4 or 5 pictures here. So this is all paved. This is before it was striped. Basically, all we got left to do is reflectors on the road and seeding. They're actually out there the last couple of days trying to get the dirt work all straightened up. And so I got the guardrail done. You can see kind of some ruts in here. They did it actually in the rain a few weeks ago. So they've came in and dressed that up since then. There's kind of another picture of the guardrail. It's the only guardrail we had on the job. And then and then this is kind of some more pictures. This is where we actually had the line already striped in here. You can see the rumble strips. This is kind of going towards Route 136 there, and so just kind of some other pictures. This is about a 3/4 of a mile south of 136, and this is this is looking south then. So the project's in good shape. Got everything completed, and it's fairly. We've opened it up during the day unless they're working in a particular spot, so let the ag traffic get through there as best they can. But it'll be a good route for the ag trucks from Leroy down to ADM and that. So, any questions on that one?
What more do you have to do?
So like I said, they're dressing up the dirt work, so we have to. And then they got cedars maybe coming in here at the end of the week. Pavement reflectors, and then some like miscellaneous like ditch checks and stuff like that. So it's pretty well done.
Wait.
The next project, Chenoa Road. The contractor's kind of working with the railroads to get railroad flaggers and that. So this project they've gone up there and done some miscellaneous work on inlets and manhole adjustments and that, but that's pretty much all. That's all they've done the last month or so. They're talking like maybe getting in there tomorrow to start paving it. So hopefully they can get that one wrapped up yet. The next one is the Hoffman Bridge, and so got some pictures of that. This was taken from a man lift. So we got a couple pictures of that. So this project is they're putting in rebar and getting ready to pour the deck. I don't think it's going to be this week, but probably sometime next week maybe. So here's some pictures. So here's the deck in itself. So they formed up all the wood and these are the shear studs. And so I got a bunch of pictures of this, and I got some video of the how they do the shear studs as well. These are guardrail embeds, so they'll once the deck's poured, they'll attach the guardrail to these embeds in here. So there's some more pictures of the. You kind of can see this couple side views here of the deck and everything with the riprap all in there. So just some more pictures. So here's the shear studs, and I think these end up being like usually they're around 4 inches, but I think these were like 5 inches in some spots and 6 inches in others. And so you can see they're kind of all just lined up here, and they're not installed yet. And so they come through here and they basically install them all by hand. And so there's some that are installed. And so they're installed by basically a welding gun that's hooked up to a generator, and then they just put an electric current in there, and it welds it to the beam. And so that's what he's doing here. And so there's 788 in each beam, and so there's 5 beams, so there's 3,940 of them that they had to put in by hand to do this. Probably took them 3 days, I'd say. So I got some video that'll probably make it a little bit better. Hopefully it comes up. I'm gonna have to back up this. I picked the wrong player. I just pulled this up before we started and it worked, so I don't know. Any ideas, Ian?
Say just give it a minute. It looks like it's trying to load.
So there's the gun.
Do you have to wear any eye protection for that thing?
They probably should.
Or it's got the safety squats, right?
Yeah.
What kind of welding gun is that?
So, electric gun. So what we do as our inspector, this is one of our inspectors, and so we go and basically hit each one, and to make sure that they stay in place. And then I think the spec is 1 out of every 250, we have to bend over 45 degrees, and to make sure it doesn't come off. And so. So that's what he was doing there, and then
So the theory is concrete will run in and around those bolts, and that's supposed to kind of like hold them together.
yeah, it kind of connects the concrete to the beams itself. And they'll put rebar all on top of the shear
Right.
studs and through it and everything. I'm guessing he was
Short videos, I think they play pretty easy.
Yeah, I know. I even tried to like email it to myself, and which I could do it that way. So this is the last video. See. And then there's our inspector. He's just going down and just making sure that they're all stable. And then every so often he'll put one down to 45 to make sure it doesn't come off. So that's so yeah, like I said, that took about 3 days to do. So currently they're putting the rebar in, and so the next pictures they'll probably have the concrete deck on there by next month, I would say. Any questions on that project?
Are you guys gonna be done with it before the winter?
Yes. Yes. And then so the next project we have is the Danvers Uten Road project. So that's going from Danvers to the Rivian Motorway. All the hot mix has been placed, and so we're just working on the guardrail and striping. And the rumble strips on the safety shoulders. So I'd say in the next 2-3 weeks that project ought to be wrapped up as well.
Anybody, any questions from anybody? All right, 4B2, the Lexington Police Department Automatic License Plate Reader, PJ Keller Highway.
Yeah, so it's just kind of information that we had another request to put up a automatic license plate reader on PJ Keller Highway, basically between I-55 and Route 66 there, right, kind of right by the BP gas station and McDonald's area, right in that spot. So just kind of was letting you know that we did have another request for one came in. I don't know if it's been installed yet or not, but so just more information.
Any questions? Anybody, Brian?
Are we gonna receive something like this each time the camera records it?
Yes, I was gonna probably just let you guys know, just so you guys had an idea where kind of where they're at and who is requesting them. Just I think that was kind of part of the last ordinance.
Yeah, when we amended the ordinance that we approved last month in executive committee and then on the floor to require Jerry to notify this committee whenever they get a request. You have anything else for us?
We did find out last week that we received a $1.7 million grant, safety, highway improvement safety program grant for PJ Keller Highway that runs from Lexington to basically the spillway up by Lake Bloomington to put safety shoulders and rumble strips on that project and replace all the guardrail all throughout there. So Luke and Osva, another staff member of ours, worked on that application and found out last week that we received the funds. So that's a good deal for us.
So when will that be? When will you be doing that?
That's going to be a 2025 project.
Okay.
So.
Anybody have any questions? All right, 5A1, Departmental Matters, Administrator Taylor.
Thank you, Chairman Brown. So 5A is 5A1 includes the request to approve the Highway Department's fiscal year 2024 budget, and that has 5 pieces to that budget. We have asked Mr. Stokes to prepare a PowerPoint presentation and go through each of those funds. Before we present the first one, I would request a motion to approve 5A1A Highway Fund 120.
We have a motion. Motion by member Abel, second by member Abraham.
Do you want me to do each?
Actually, with permission of the committee, if I could combine those 5 items, we would have 5A1A Highway Fund 120, 5A1B Bridge Matching Fund 121, 5A1C County Matching Fund 122, 5A1D Motor Fuel Tax Fund 123, and 5A1E, a 5-year capital improvement plan strictly for the highway department with the permission of member Abel and member Abraham. Would you be willing to amend your motion to include all 5 items?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get started here. So yeah, we're gonna talk about the 4 funds that were just mentioned, and so here's kind of a layout of the highway budget expenses, which the majority comes for the capital asset projects. And then you kind of see the main there for services and salaries, and I'll kind of get into some more of the details as we go. So the first one is our highway fund, and this is mainly our general operating fund that we have. The revenue comes from the general property tax, and so and then the remaining revenue comes from some of the commodities that we sell to the townships and municipalities, such as pipe and signs and salt and that type of stuff. We store a lot of pipe on hand, and so a lot of the townships come in and get that pipe. We also store like 500 tons of salt for the townships and municipalities. We send them a letter asking what they, how much they want to have, and then we order that as well. And so that all comes out of this fund. And then so also some of the other revenue is engineering that we provide to the townships for their motor fuel tax that we do. We charge a percentage for that for the engineering side. And then the other big one is equipment rental reimbursement for motor fuel tax. We keep track of kind of some of the items that we do out on the road, maintenance wise, snow plowing, mowing, that type of stuff that goes into there. We keep track, and then so we keep track of the equipment and the man hour use, and then that money comes from the motor fuel tax back into the highway fund. And so permit fees, and then the fund balance there kind of makes up the remaining stuff. And the permit fees are from our overweight permits, and then our work and entrance permits.
Question. So 0450.0001 sale of assets. We're budgeting $150,000 for 2024. Do we have any intentions of like what we're selling at this point? Like, do we have a plan for that, or is that just like we're probably going to be selling about $150,000 worth of equipment?
No. So there is a kind of a plan for that. So we're looking to get three tandem trucks, and so we're not going to trade them in. We're going to auction them off, and so we're going to hold on to them throughout the winter because we're not necessarily sure when we're going to get the trucks, and so actually, no, those are going to be for 2024. So there's going to be 2023 trucks, and so they're going to be sold once the winter's done in 2024 to basically replace the ones that we're getting in 2023. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a little higher than normal because sometimes we trade them in, and the reason we're not trading them in this year is because one we want to keep through the winter, not sure when we're gonna get our trucks or when we're gonna be completely done. And then, thought we might get a better price trying to auction them off. So. As far as, there's not a whole lot of numbers in this presentation, so don't, but this is kind of basically the comparison between the 23 revenue and the 24 revenue. So with the, increase in the EAV and everything, it went up about $466,000 here and projected in 2024. And so it's, at the max tax rate. Then, so that's kind of the revenue side. Then we get into the expenses, which the 500 line items. So, the salaries for the employees and seasonal employees, and then, health insurance rates are in that, as well. And then, we come to the 600 line items, which is our kind of our supply, line items that we have. And so this is where the gas and the diesel fuel that we get comes out of, and so that's kind of hard to project how much we're going to use in 2024. We're in 2023 we're looking pretty good because we didn't have much snow plowing operations there in the early part of the winter, and so we're probably not going to be using all the money here, all the money set aside in 2023. But I also had when I was doing the 23 budget, I was looking back and our rate, the price per gallon was fairly high, and so that increased it. So I kind of dropped everything down a little bit to kind of what seems like prices are staying steady. Now things could change. You never know what's going to happen, but so that's kind of what I was doing. I think I was projected like $4 in diesel and around $3 in gas for that going forward. So, and then so that's on the debt. And then another kind of big line item out of the 600 is group purchasing, and so that's where we're paying for some of the township commodities for the pipe and stuff like that, and so the salt and everything that's we pay. So when we buy like a stock supply of pipe, a certain portion comes out of this group purchasing, and then the townships come and buy it throughout the year, and then that goes back into the revenue side. So those line items try to offset each other. So that overall line item was increased a little bit because we're kind of just expecting an increase in the cost of materials overall. Any questions on the 600 lines? Then we kind of move on to the 700 lines. This is our services. This is where a lot of our maintenance comes out of for the maintenance of highways that we do, kind of miscellaneous stuff. The maintenance of our buildings and ground and equipment. We're looking at putting in new carpet in our office, and then maybe they're coming down with some new fuel tank upgrades we might need to look into here. I don't know if we'll do it in 2024 or not, but we might start the process of looking into it. They're requiring us to update our tanks to, I don't remember what the actual term was. They needed like a secondary valve or something like that. So we might have to do like replace our whole tanks altogether, our fuel tanks. So something we're looking into. And then 754, some of the additional fees and licenses that we need for like Office 365, our AutoCAD or MicroStation, which is our CAD platform. Our fleet managers have a couple different scan tools that they need for Cummins engines and international and stuff. So they go out there and they hook their computer up, and they kind of, everything's computerized now, so it tells them what kind of codes and everything that they try to address the problem. So that's that needs to be updated each year, and there's a subscription for that as well. So any questions on the 700s?
Yes.
Good.
So 7731 and 7782, non-contractual services and administrative surcharges. Last year, we reported $0 in the actual budget, but we're budgeting for combined about 57,000-ish. Is that an error on the budget here, on this like piece of paper, or is that?
No, it just hasn't been, well, and so this is the actual amount, so we haven't used any, so on the administrative surcharge, that usually comes out at the end of the year.
Okay, so we just haven't gotten to that point.
Right.
Gotcha.
And then we haven't had anything for non-contractual services yet, that's kind of, just a miscellaneous item that we might use if we need it, so we haven't had to use any of it yet.
Okay.
So, Jerry? Yes.
The fuel tanks, underground storage tanks.
Yes.
How big are those? They're like,
We got 3 of them, and I think they're 3,000 gallons apiece. So if you,
alright,
2 for diesel and 1 for gasoline. So on the 800 line items, this is our capital assets. So one of the things I was actually looking at in 2023 was a cold storage shed to put at our property at Route 9. Kind of started talking to some of the vendors and just didn't have enough money budgeted in 2023 to do it. And so some we're looking here in 2024. So hopefully in the next couple months I can start putting some specifications together and get some bids on that where they could, potentially even start that sometime, January, February timeframe, if the weather's fit. So that's going to kind of be the big expense there. And then our capitalized assets is our tandem trucks, brush cutter, and pickup. And so I did put kind of each spot is kind of our listing of our what we're looking to buy for our capital assets. It's that first page there, just kind of some ballpark numbers that we're looking at with 3 tandems, some pickups, and a brush cutter. And so the brush cutter is this machine here on the left. And so this is what they call it a uni, basically. So it's like a unit harvester. And so we kind of converted it over to a brush cutter. And so this thing's like, it was 1988, I think, is what they said it was. So it's seen its days. So what we're looking at doing is buying a machine here on the right that is more kind of more suitable for what we use this for. So we use this for cutting brush along the road and to use it for kind of behind guardrail. And so this particular machine is side mounted and it has counterweights, and so as you can see, the visibility is going to be a lot better. And I think it's just going to be a lot safer, it's more ergonomically friendly for the person running it. And also, we can put different attachments on it. It's not necessarily a good picture, but you can put attachments on front. We can put a broom on the front. They do make an apparatus, or at least they're working on one, where we can mow guardrail. We've, the last couple of years, we've kind of laxed on that because we used to have hire summer help to do that. And we haven't been able to find too many summer kids to help us during summer. So we've tried to get, we tried to hit some of the main guardrails, but we haven't been able to hit them all as far as we usually go weed eat them. We're also looking into spraying them, but they have an apparatus that'll hook onto this, and you can do the guardrail as we go. So this is an expensive machine, though. It's it's $300,000. Depending on what attachments you buy and that type of stuff. So, but I think it'd be a good benefit for the county to have.
Question. Are we gonna trade in the old one, or we're gonna sell it?
I don't think they'd probably want that as a trade, but we probably might try to sell it on an auction, because I think there's all kinds of stuff on that auction site, so there might be somebody that might be interested.
Cause I know in the past, the townships have rented those.
Yes.
I think they actually rent the guy too, don't they?
Yes. So if they call, we'll go out and help the townships out and charge them at whatever rate it'll be on it. But I guess there could be some township that might want to buy it.
Right. And then I had a question on the cold storage. Are you talking about another Quonset type storage cell like we have out there in actual steel building?
An actual steel building.
Okay. Have we found those Quonset ones seem to work?
Yeah, they do. And we looked at that too, and just thought that for long term that the building would be better. But yeah, for our salt storage and that, yeah, those Quonset huts will work really
Are they
well.
considered temporary or whatever? I mean,
Yes.
is there much repair to those, or you just put a new canvas down or whatever if they go bad?
Yeah, we've had to repair the canvas. I think we had to pull it down, and then we sewed up some patches on it and everything. And but yeah, it's pretty much just the canvas that has to be replaced. I mean,
Okay.
there, with the salt and the moisture and everything, that you can see that the rust is on the actual grading that the canvas
Right.
sits on.
But it would, to me, I would think salt would be better in something like that as opposed to inside of a metal building as far
Right.
as the rest of it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the metal building's going to be more for equipment storage and that type of stuff.
Alright, thanks.
I have a question. I actually got two questions. So we're buying this, is this like the machine that we're buying here? That's that specific one in the picture?
Yes.
Okay, so we're buying it from Florida then?
I believe so. I think that there's like the salesman we've been talking to has like the Midwest region. It is built in Florida, but
Gotcha.
it does have a Cummins engine. So if we do need parts, then as far as the motor goes,
Then my other question, 821 purchase of right of way. There's a couple disparities on the rest of the budget as well. For this, could you explain what purchase of right of way is? I mean, we're looking at over the past 2 years, we've budgeted 100,000. We've used 11,000 roughly. Do we need a $50,000 budget for this?
So purchase right of ways for projects that we that we go out and construct basically. So like in the motor fuel tax fund that we'll get to, I think that we have I think it's like $200,000 in right of way maybe.
Okay.
And so because I'm gonna use motor fuel tax money to pay for that. Usually in the highway fund, the $50,000 is kind of more just if we run into something where we need additional right of way. So it's not something we use all the time. But if I'm just trying to think of an example, like if we need to widen a ditch out or something like that, and we might have to go to the landowner and say we need to buy a couple acres of right of way there to do that ditch widening.
Okay.
It's more just kind of a safe keep, I guess, if we decide we need something.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Or sometimes we might run out of money, like in the motor fuel tax fund. If we don't have enough money in there, then we might have to pull out of the highway fund as well.
Gotcha.
So any questions on the highway fund or anything like that? So then the next fund is the bridge fund. So this is for county bridges and culverts, township bridges. It comes from property tax, and then the remaining revenue basically comes from reimbursements that we do on township bridge projects and culvert projects. So we have about a $357,000 increase in the revenue line item for that, and then the construction side with the increase in a lot of times when we were doing township bridge projects, we were fronting the money. We would pass a resolution to anticipate the money that we were going to get from the township bridge program. So now with the increase with the quadruple funding, we won't have to do that. So I didn't budget quite as much for that. So that's why we're just looking at $100,000 revenue from the townships for doing this type of work. So we'll be able to pay directly out of the township bridge program fund for those projects. And so this is kind of the bridge fund. Some of the expense side. We're on the engineering design. You got to start with it. If we run into the environmental stuff, we basically got to start all these projects about a year out. And so these will be projects that we're working on in 2024 for construction in 2025. And then our capital assets then for our 800 line items. Any question on the bridge fund? Next up is the matching fund, and so this particular fund is mainly we use this to match our federal projects that we what we approved earlier today on a project. And so, because this fund can only be used for construction, engineering, or right of way, it can't be used to pay salaries or any other types of services that we provide. So, so there's about a $233,000 increase in that, and 99% of that of this fund goes to construction projects. So, this fund matches either federal projects or motor fuel tax projects. It just can't be used on its own. It's got to match one of those two types of funding projects. Any questions on the matching fund? Next up, we have the motor fuel tax fund, and so this is used for. We use it for all kinds of things, but a lot of maintenance that we use, our oil and chip work, the salt that we use, and signs and that type of stuff come out of the maintenance line item. We use it for engineering on some particular projects, some more higher profile projects, I guess, and then a lot for construction. And so then the revenue comes from the monthly allotments that we get from IDOT, plus the Transportation Renewal Fund that started in July 19. And then some other revenue is the county consolidated, which is a discretionary program that IDOT has. And so that ends up being like 2 additional allotments for motor fuel tax that we get. And then the Rebuild Illinois program was, I think we're in the 4th year of the Rebuild Illinois program, and they front loaded it. So we've basically used all our money from that program. We got $6 million. So this is where we're kind of budgeting about $3,000 a month from the motor fuel tax fund, and then our county consolidated ends up being approximately around $650,000. And so our Rebuild Illinois funds, I mentioned we got $6 million for. $4 million was from the Meadows we used on the Meadows Road last year, and then used $2 million of it on the Horse Farm Road that we did this year. I was going to say we would use it on a project later on down in a couple years, but kind of started talking to IDOT. They kind of want all this money to get used up so they could show that we're using it, and so I just used it on the Horse Farm Road project, and then we'll build up our motor fuel tax balance as we move forward here. So some of so I mentioned the maintenance items and everything with the salt and oil and chip work. And then the capital assets is mainly the construction work that we do out on the road. And so, about 85% of that fund, the MFT fund, goes towards maintenance and construction of roadways. And so, that wraps up the budget presentation. So I want to thank everybody for Luke and admin for helping on the budget. And then also in front of you, you got the 5-year capital improvement program that we put out for kind of 2024 is pretty much set in stone, but depending on how funding goes or what other projects come around, some of the later years might be moved around a little bit, but that's at least some of the projects that we're gearing towards here in the next 4 to 5 years.
Anybody have any questions? Member Sobel?
I have a question on our agenda, it's page 35, looking at the FTEs. Looks like you are adding FTEs to civil engineer, but you take one, but you're taking them away from 2. Is it just a reclassification, or what's that about?
What page you on?
Well, it's count 503, if that means anything to you.
Page
Page
35.
35.
So we're at least in this fund, we are looking to add a civil engineer 1 position for 2024, and so we're not necessarily taking any away. We just probably reallocated how they were going to go.
Because as a civil engineer 2, you're not budgeting anything this year.
Right, we don't have any civil engineer 2s on staff right at this point.
Okay.
So everything is gonna be a civil engineer one, and we
Okay.
are adding an additional civil engineer one. But that's also allocated between the highway fund, the bridge fund, and motor fuel tax fund, so, their percentages are just kind of across all three funds.
And then on the next page, the same way with the truck driver and the equipment engineer, you're budgeting less for the truck driver laborer, but you're up into the equipment operator. Is that just the whole labor issue and the way they're dealing with that?
Yeah, it's just more of a reallocation, like, I think we might have put more hours in the bridge, on the bridge fund. But the amount of, FTEs are the same for the maintenance crew and everything. The only thing that we're adding on the FT side is civil engineer.
Okay, alright, thanks.
Anyone else? Taylor, do you have anything else for that? Or do we need to vote on all
We
that?
need to vote on
Oh.
those, 5 items.
It's all approved, we're fine.
All those in favor vote aye,
Aye.
opposed nay. Ayes have it, and the rest is approved.
Thank you, Chair
5B.
Logal. I have no other items to present for information today.
Other business and communications, anybody have anything? All right, our next meeting will be November 7th at 8 AM. Maybe we'll have a full slate of people. Not gonna hold my breath. All right. Yes?
We will be back in our regular space and we have room with the new dais construction for all members to set up at the dais, so you will be experiencing a different setup next month.
You have a good week.